Whole government system is a Ponzi scheme. Think about it for a second. The government collects a portion of your paychecks every 2 weeks. Then they use the same funds to create infrastructure and pass it back to the citizens in the form of healthcare, education, and security. What is a Ponzi scheme? When someone collects investments with the promise of returns, then giving a portion of that investment back as profits. Imagine you gave someone promising you 20% and returns $100.
So, it's been 24 hours. Got my money?
Oh, you know what? Just give me till next Friday. I'll have it for you.
Oh, that's funny. I could have sworn I said have it today.
Yeah, I don't have it. Sorry.
Oh.
They give you back $20 of your money that you gave them, claiming it's the returns they promised. The government is literally paying back its citizens in infrastructure, healthcare, and security using their own money. The thing with Ponzi schemes is they eventually run out of capital to hand out. What happens when the government runs out of money? They just print more.
And I promised every Floridian that you will all be rich, because we're gonna print some more money. Why did anybody ever think of this before?
It's one of the smartest Ponzi schemes created by wealthy and powerful people to assert dominance and control over the masses. But hold on, the government is there to protect the citizens, right?
You tell me.
What happens when the real estate prices go through the roof? The feds hike the rates to bring down housing costs. The problem is housing costs barely drop. Housing is still unaffordable. The people they end up hurting is the middle class who own the homes and start defaulting on payments. The only people who can afford to buy houses even at those discounting rates are corporations. Long story short, the middle class gets screwed. Corporations buy up more properties at a slightly cheaper rate and offload the properties when the market picks up again. But God forbid, the moment a corporation is about to be wiped out. Look at GameStop and the hedge fund that used their entire existence to short GameStop out of existence. The retail investors caught on to this and started buying up GameStop stock, causing a short squeeze. The hedge funds responsible was completely wiped out. You know the government did in that situation? They bailed out the fund, paying back their investors in record time. The SEC also implemented new laws and regulations to further protect these corporations from this risk. The government isn't there to protect you. They never were. They were created by the ultra wealthy and rich to protect the ultra wealthy and rich. Healthcare, education, and security is important, but the problem is the way the government deploys capital is so inefficient. It costs the Canadian government $54 million to create a simple app to scan your passport, the ArriveCan app. All it does is scan your passport and creates a digital copy to get through security faster. It cost them $54 million and almost a year to build this thing out. I'm a software engineer. I can build that thing out in a weekend. Won't cost me more than a couple grand, if that.
That was some weak shit.
The reason is because there's so many layers of middle management. There's so many different people within the government that are trying to make their bag. They're trying to get their share of our tax dollar. That $54 million got distributed across all the politicians. Think about it for a second. Politicians' salaries are barely anything. It's like a couple $100,000 a year, which to be fair to the middle class, that's quite a bit of money. But for the ultra wealthy, that's peanuts. How is the Prime Minister of Canada worth over $100 million while making a $370,000 a year salary? To give you context, before taxes, his career of 8 years as Prime Minister would net him $3 million. After taxes and expenses, he'd be left with maybe $1.2 million. So how is this guy buying mansions, cars, going on nice vacations? How? Have you seen Justin Trudeau's house? It's a massive mansion, completely gated with security all around. And sure, you might say it's like generational wealth. Some of it is from his famous father, Pierre Elliott Trudeau. The problem is, his father was also making a couple $100,000 a year. How does his father build such a big fortune?
I'm in the empire business.
Some of you watching might already be earning six figures. Can you picture your children being worth $100 million in their 40s from the wealth you distribute to them on your $100K a year salary? Something's obviously not adding up. The reason is because they're taking the taxpayers' money. It's a little bit here, a little bit there. They're taking your money and they're spending it on themselves, and they're giving you back the scraps. They're giving you back the scraps with the notion that they're creating stability in the economy when they're the ones causing the instability. They create this illusion that the government has your back, but they don't. They only have the rich corporations back. If you declare bankruptcy, you as an individual, middle class, they won't even assign you a lawyer. You're going to have to find your own lawyer and then liquidate your asset to pay that lawyer. They won't even assign you a lawyer to declare bankruptcy. They won't help you out in any way. If you're homeless, your income will be too high to even apply for welfare. And on top of that, welfare is such a backlogged system. There's hundreds of people waiting in front of you already, so you're now worth zero. The government does not have your back. It does not have your back whatsoever. You're not going to get any of the money back that you paid in taxes returned back to you. But if you're a big corporation and you're employing hundreds of thousands of people and you need a bailout, the CEO, who is already worth $100, $200, $300 million, the government will literally print more money and bail you out. And in that situation, the CEO gets to keep his hundreds of millions of dollars. Meanwhile, the middle class, who barely even has $1 million, scrapes a couple $100,000 after working 40 years of their life slaving away.
Give us free!
That person does not get bailed out. But the CEO, who flies in private jets, drives the nicest car, has the biggest mansion, does. The reason is because the CEO is going to give some of that millions of dollars back to the politicians. So the government now prints more money, dilutes the economy, meaning every middle class person, their money is now even worth less. After inflation and after dilution, their millions of dollars that they saved up 50 years of their life with, it's worth less today because the government inflated the economy by printing more money to bail out one or two people that are worth $100, $200, $300 million, which is crazy. Half the world's wealth is controlled by the top 1%. That's 1% out of 8 billion people. What is that? That's like 10% of 8 billion is 800 million. 1% of that is 80 million. So out of 8 billion people in the world, most of the wealth is owned by 80 million people, which 80 billion sounds like a lot, but if you think about it in comparison to 8 billion, that's nothing. That means 7.92 billion people in the world have to share the remaining money, while 0.08 billion swim in the other half.
Just keep swimming, just keep swimming.
Look at Jeff Bezos, the guy's worth $170 billion. If he took $20 from every single person in this planet, he still wouldn't have $170 billion. And that's also after he gave away $40 billion to his wife. So we're in a Ponzi scheme, and there's nothing you can do about it because the government is backed by the military. The military also has deep pockets with some of these corporations. So if you do anything other than speaking against them, start a revolution or rise up against them, they'll squash you. They'll squash you with their tanks, their nukes, their guns.
This is war!
They'll absolutely destroy you and you can't do anything about it. It's a forced Ponzi scheme on us, 2023, and only way out of it is to own your own assets.
Owns my ass.
By assets, I mean a single house and a car. Anything else you own will subject you to added regulation and remove your freedom. You own a rental property, now you're at the mercy of tenants. They can call up 911 or they can complain to you against some sort of regulatory body and get you evicted out of your own home.
Officers, arrest this man.
You run a business, now you're at the mercy of several regulatory bodies, including the CRA or IRS. You own stock, now you're at the mercy of the SEC. If you can maintain your basic necessities like housing, food, and transportation while owning the minimum amount of liquid assets, that's the closest thing to freedom today.
Individual, it's financial freedom, bro.
We also need to look at how the government collects its taxes. They collect their taxes multiple times in multiple different scenarios. Anytime there is some sort of money exchange between person A and person B, legally they're allowed to collect taxes on it. And that's how the system is made. You receive income from your employer, they can collect income tax. You sell your property at a profit, they can collect capital gains tax. If you sell your stock in less than a year, they can claim income tax. If you buy a used car, you're technically supposed to pay a sales tax. A lot of people don't, but you're technically supposed to. If you buy a new car, you have to pay your sales tax. You earn your money, you're already taxed. Then you spend your money on a car, then you're taxed again. And then you buy oil for your car, then you're taxed again. And you also have to pay carbon tax.
There's no end to obligations.
You've paid taxes like 5 to 6 times on a single vehicle at this point. And let's do property for argument's sake. You buy your property, you earn your income to save up for a down payment, you pay your taxes already. You've already paid for your taxes on that money. When you buy your property, you pay land transfer tax. Then you own your property. Every single year you got to pay property tax. If you rent out your basement, you got to pay income tax because rent is considered income. You sell your property, you pay capital gains, and you buy a new property and the cycle begins again. You're paying taxes 5 to 6 times on anything you purchase. And this is not even counting maintenance, hydro, electricity, internet, everything that goes into owning a home.
Man, this is some bullshit!
So there's so many opportunities for the government to collect taxes on you, but very little when they return it back to you. Yet they always claim they don't have money to fix roads, they don't have money to fix housing crises, they don't have money to bail out the middle class, but they can print money to bail out the top corporations and businesses. But the average person gets cucked every single time.
It's a fucking bullshit!
So just think about that for a second. They're collecting in every corner possible, but how much of it are you really receiving back? If you're on a total of $200,000 a year, you're already paying more than half, almost half of it to income tax. So $100,000 paid in income tax. Then you use that $100,000 to buy goods, sales tax, maintenance, blah, blah, blah. Sales tax is 13% in Canada, but sometimes you'll be paying twice to 3 times depending on how many times you have to purchase a vehicle, maintenance, and then oil, all that stuff. So you end up paying 15 to 20 grand. So that what that remains is 80 grand of actual money that you receive. So out of the $200,000 you earned, you only receive 80 grand worth of value. The 120 grand difference is just simulated money. It's there, but not really. And I don't understand why they don't just tell you, we're going to pay you 80 grand, we're not going to pay you 200 and take away 120, we're just going to pay you 80 and remove all taxes.
I'm not paying for this shit.
Because they want you to be perceived as you're doing well for yourself. They want you to feel like you're doing well for yourself, so you strive for more and you continue to grind, and it's It's basic human conditioning. They want you to keep at it. They want you to continue grinding, working hard, and doing what you need to do so that they can make progress in society and make their pockets deeper and deeper. If the economy grows, the land that the government owns increases in value and the tax they collect increases overall. So it's in their best interest to keep the economy growing because it helps their pockets grow bigger. Every dollar you earn, you only see less than half of it in your pocket. It also helps their investors, which are big corporations, the ones that are paying them. To make their money from all the bribery that they take. I'll give you an example. Let's say a hospital needs to be built. The actual true cost of the hospital is $10 million. They go to a shady contractor and they say, hey, we're going to pay you $15 million. We're going to build out the hospital for $10 million. You're going to keep $2 million for profit, and you're going to give back the $3 million back to us, but in offshore shell accounts, slowly distributed across multiple accounts. So the government politicians that signed off for that hospital now made $3 million for themselves.
Why? Because fuck them, that's why.
Completely untraceable and untaxed. Meanwhile, you're paying $120,000 in taxes on your miserable $200K income. Does that make sense now? That's how the prices of things get inflated, with money laundering. Anyway, I don't want to make this video too long. I already rambled enough. If you want unfiltered information to make more out of your life and career, like this video and subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.